Cool and Tong is his name. And for Nathan, is that your Cool and Tong is his name. He's a gong. And he's got his barong. And he's got his smile, even though, look, he's got to force himself to smile. It's a tough day. Tough day. Welcome to my takeout, Emil Amok's takeout, my takes on all things considerable. With your host, me, Emil Amok, Emil Guillermo, Emil Amok to you. Hi. Welcome. We do this because we must. Because as a career journalist, talk show host, you read the news and you got to let it out. You got to go amok. There's a lot that bears commenting on. We're on Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Live. We'll get to the big story of the hour, literally the hour, which is how the Senate has failed to pass the codification of Roe. As I suggested on my Twitter account, well, maybe they should try a different fish, if maybe salmon or trout, if cod doesn't work. Trying to make light. Just trying to make light because it's sad. Because once again, it's like the civil rights, or rather the voting rights bill, right? You can't get past the filibuster. You got one Democrat who says, Manchin. Oh, you knew who I meant. Who says, oh, going too far, codification going too far. And then you have the Republicans saying, oh, we want to support Roe, but we're going to have our own bill. So this is where we are now. And just because your party has control by all the different ways that you can have control in the Senate, like if you're deadlocked, you have the vice president who's Democrat, she votes and breaks a tie. Well, that's just not the way it gets done. I mean, you need a little something more. You need to have a landslide. You need to have in this case, a woman-date to say this is the way it's going to get done. Because you recall when Roe went down, or that leaked note came out from the Supreme Court, the Democrats just all of a sudden just said, we're gonna codify the law. We're gonna overtake the Supreme Court. And look at what it's gotten them. They went to battle with a rubber knife. They are not able to get legislation through to codify Roe, and it's because they don't have the votes. Welcome to a democracy. We're all about pro-democracy. Well, this is your democracy in action. We need more votes. We can't make them up. We can't make the dead people vote, but we need to have more people on a side so things get done. And so maybe this is the best way that nothing gets done, because there are procedural issues. You don't have the votes. You don't have the majority. Hence, you cannot codify Roe to get by the Supreme Court. Okay. So now what? There is nothing. There's nothing left for the Democrats. And so what do we have? We have Roe, which as an issue, which everyone got so upset last week. They were protesting at the Supreme Court. They are out there. It does not have the power to move votes. And I mean votes in the Senate. I also mean votes like in actual voters in the electorate. Because if the electorate could be shaped by this, then the senators who are voting would say, we got to vote for this. But they don't say that. And so this is a situation where Roe, not the political dynamite that we thought it would be, it is the social dynamite that it is, because it's going to affect lives. I mean, not like the lack of infant formula on the market right now. That's affecting lives. And you would think that, people who are so riled up about the unborn, maybe they'd want to do something in the Senate and the House for the living who can't get infant formula. But this was the big vote today. Let's say I'll go to the Washington Post. I like the Washington Post. Where is the Post? Senate blocks bill to codify right to abortion. GOP mansion opposed the measure. The Women's Health Protection Act failed as expected, but Democrats say the vote is about mobilizing voters, not passing legislation, which is, that's what you say when you lose. I hope that it mobilizes voters, but that's great. But what's it mean to people who want an abortion? The vote failed 49 to 51. They needed 60 votes. And it's a reprise of what happened in February with the Voting Rights Act. Same thing. And it was 50 Republicans and Joe Manchin who was opposed. There's your 51, 49 Democrats. And it looks like if the Supreme Court memo or the draft letter is the final, then it'll be kicked back to the states. States will have their individual laws that are for or against abortion, and that's America. And it's almost America on every key issue that is federal or that was mandated by a once let's say legislative friendly Congress. If the Supreme Court goes back and undoes precedent, things that we considered settled law, we might be seeing all this on everything. This may be the deluge of issues that comes down the pike that on a federal level gets overturned. It's up to the states do their thing, and then we become just a weird kind of quilt of laws because we cannot agree with one another. I mean, I think abortion is one thing. I mean, we're ready for the patchwork quilt for abortion to happen if Roe gets overturned. But other laws that were seen as settled, like affirmative action, maybe it's university by university, state by state. Already, California has outlawed affirmative action with Prop 209. That was in the 90s. And the state, the most diverse one in the country, has managed, it outlawed affirmative action for public education and public employment. And you'll recall that Ward Connerly, the man who passed that law in California, went around the country. That was going to be his thing. He didn't do as well as they thought. And just as we see with abortion, the hot button issue that we think is such a hot button fails us. It is not nearly as potent as we think to move voters. It polarizes, but it doesn't make people switch sides and vote or go out to vote. And that's, I don't know what is. That's what politicians are looking for. And then when they find it, you'll see, because they'll jump. When you say jump as a member of the electorate, they'll jump because you said jump. But on issues like abortion, maybe we'll see this with other kind of hot buttons we thought were going to make people jump. But no, we'll probably see this sort of individualistic sort of state by state, in the case of affirmative action, school by school, because it looks like that issue is going to be overturned, possibly, because the conservatives are there. It would be hard to see the conservatives, with their overwhelming majority in the court, not reverse affirmative action. I mean, look, they're seeing what's happening with Roe. They're saying, well, we can do this with Roe. We can do this with everything. Literally everything. From affirmative action to who knows? Would they try immigration? Would they try, well, certainly they're trying voting rights. Look at all the key bits of legislation that we considered sacred, settled. And maybe we make it a state's right. Rely on states' laws. I know that immigration is federal, but there are things you can do at the state level that makes immigration very difficult. You know, like rejecting sanctuary laws, all that. I mean, we've started to see a little of that already in immigration, but all the hot buttons that are near and dear to Asian Americans, because we always like to look at things from an Asian American lens. I call this the micro talk show of the AAPI and the AAXs. But believe me, we're coming to that time. We are so polarized where that will not surprise me, especially now, because we're not even seeing the hue and cry for abortion. There were some members of the House of Representatives who went to the Senate to urge the Senate to pass the codification bill. There was Pramila Jayapal right in front for Asian Americans. And you know, Asian Americans, 74% want to see Roe intact. But if most of them can say, well, you know what? We can live with Roe being overturned. We'll just have to work around it. It's becoming the U.S. of A is the U.S. of W.O. or W.A. United States of the workaround. We're working around things. Is it legal? Yeah. You can get an abortion. You just got to drive from Texas to California. You got to drive from Texas to another friendly state. You wouldn't want to drive to Oregon unless you really love to go to Voodoo Donuts. You might want that after the abortion. That's my one wish. I want to go to Voodoo Donuts. Or you might want to drive all the way up to Seattle. I don't know. Maybe. But we're becoming the United States of the workaround. We're working around all the obstacles, other states that say no when we want yes. So you drive to your yes, I guess, because you can't rely on the Senate. You can't rely on the House to pass federal laws to make things the way we want. Not unless we have some kind of electoral mandate that gives us a clear majority on these hot button issues. I think that's what the next 10, 15 years is going to look like. That is not comforting, especially not with $6 gas. All right, we got to talk about gas. We got to talk about inflation. Biden talked about inflation yesterday. Look, this is a major irritant. The good news is that we're not at 9% inflation. We're just at it like 8 point something. But all the economists are saying, yeah, you know, the average household is spending something like $500 more a month for the same basket of goods that they were getting a month ago. And at that rate, $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year. Are you getting that kind of raise? So you're cutting back $6,000 a year. Or maybe you thought you were up and now you're not as up as you thought. So I was looking at what they were saying where the things were going up. Gas, 44% higher. You know, I think, well, do you take the bus? Do you just stay home? I mean, this is troublesome. We're a mobile country. Carpool? Airfare is up 33%. Now, it used to be when airfare was up that high, you'd say, okay, I'll drive. And now driving's more expensive than airfare. Let me on the plane. I was considering taking a drive too far in the age of $4, $5, $6 gas. I don't know. Cheaper to fly. Eggs, 23%. If you're vegan, no problem with the eggs. Used cars up 23%. That's been the case for the last 6 months or so. Hotels up 23%. Well, okay. See if you can couch surf. Bacon up 18%. Once again, vegan. If you're vegan, you don't have to worry. Chicken is up 15%. Fake chicken. If you eat fake chicken, you don't have to worry. Milk is up 15%. I'm telling you, if you're a vegan, you can beat inflation and you're good for your health. Furniture's up 15%. Okay. Well, save all those cardboard Amazon boxes for, a month. They're sturdy enough for a month. The kitchen table. Okay, maybe not a kitchen table, but a dining room table. Okay, maybe a coffee table. Gee, it's sort of like furnishing your house like it was a college dorm. Well, at least I said, Amazon boxes. I didn't say pizza boxes. Then for sure that would have been a college situation. Coffee up 14%. Okay. I'm a coffee guy. That's a tough one. You got to buy coffee when it's on sale. 14% up coffee. 14% beef. Now, once again, let's get all the vegan things, or the anti-vegan things out of the way. Beef is up 14%. Fish is up 13%. You can save by just going vegan. Flour up 14%. Okay, you can bake. 14% flour. That's not that bad. Used cars up 14%. Drive your used car a little longer. Electricity up 11%. Well, okay. You need electricity. 11%, not too bad. Health insurance up 10%. Don't let your insurances lapse. Excuse me. I know a lot of people out there, first thing to go, they look at some tight bill, some tight month, and they say, oh, I guess we should drop the term insurance. Okay, it can't be that much. And if it is, look at how much you're paying. Maybe you're paying $50 or $100, but look at the benefit if something bad happens. You pay $10, $50, say $50 today. If something bad happens today, you get the death benefit tax-free. Is that worth it? If you have a $250,000 insurance policy and you're paying like $50 a month, that would seem to be kind of average. Or maybe you're paying $100 a month for a $1 million term policy. Is it wise to save the $100? Well, this month I'm saving $100 and, I can, use it when I go to the grocery store. Yeah. But the reason why you got the life insurance is because if something happens, that $100 a month pays for a $1 million tax-free death benefit life insurance policy. And if something bad happens, we hope it doesn't, but if something bad happens, you be prepared. But what happens if you cancel the life insurance to save the $100 premium that you would send in? If something bad happens, you're on GoFundMe. So you tell me, is it prudent to cancel your life insurance policy? Keep those insurance policies. I mean, all life insurance, health insurance, long-term, you're going to need that. Prioritize them. Now, I know you're going to say, like, I can't do it. The prices are going up. There are ways to cut back. One last six-pack, one less bit of whatever, your favorite thing you buy at the grocery store. This is a temporary thing. but prioritize that insurance. Then the final thing here on my list is rent. Rent up 5%. Yeah, because the landlord's greedy. Well, appeal to his better or her better side. Usually, landlords try to make back at least, the mortgage payment. But there are some who are seeing it as a cash cow. They have no mortgage. They haven't remortgaged and run up debt, and they don't have to service that debt. So it's all, you might as well just be feeding your landlord. That's what you're doing. You're not servicing debt. You're just lining his pocket. If it's tough, consider a forbearance for a month or two. But rent's only going up 5%. Shouldn't be significant. And at the very least, you can always move in with mom. So there, Emil's helpful tips to fight inflation. Remember, the biggest thing, go vegan, cut out meat, fish, dairy, eggs, all double-digit inflation numbers. I mean, eggs, 23%. Forget it. Don't eat it. Beef, chicken, double-digit inflation. Cut it out. You'll live longer. You'll be healthier. The vegan inflation fighter. I live by it. So we talked about inflation. Got to talk about inflation because people are concerned about inflation. I mean, it's at 8%. It's like between 8 and 9%. 9% was the high. I remember when they would like kiss Greenspan's butt. Is that? I don't mean to say Greenspan's butt. I mean, Greenspan, he was the economic advisor for so long, right? What was his real, his gift, his charge? Keep inflation to 3% or below. And we got spoiled because that's what he did. And we don't appreciate that, right? The fact that, Greenspan, he went out with Andrea Mitchell. I think they're still a couple. I think. Alan, right? Alan Greenspan. But that was his thing. Alan Greenspan's thing was he kept inflation to 3%. I mean, really, it was his gift. And get this, Alan Greenspan is still alive. He's 96 years old. Net worth 20 million, according to the internet. Still married to Andrea Mitchell. They've been married since 1997. She is with 96-year-old Alan Greenspan. And Andrea Mitchell, she's still on television. What gets me, she's still on television. She's 75. What gets me, she's still on television, still looks great, still is sharp. But, her net worth is pretty good. But she's with Alan Greenspan. She doesn't have to work. But there she is, reporting the news. They're not sending her to any wars, but so Alan Greenspan's 96, she's 75. But the key thing is, Alan Greenspan forever kept inflation at 3%. I mean, that is his magical talent. And I think, boy, if we could get inflation down to 5, people would be like, you would be considered, well, you might get elected president. I mean, it's not the economic advisor doesn't necessarily get elected president, but whoever that magic economic advisor, whoever he he answers to, will be elected president. That's what we're looking for. We're just looking for somebody who knows how to shut the door on inflation. And right now, you got all these things going on. You got COVID, you got the war, and it's a big issue. More so than abortion, more so than all these other things that are cropping up. We're talking about inflation. American public wants they want to lead a life where they can forget about politics, not where they have to think about it every moment of the day, from the gas pump to work, back to the gas pump the next day because gas is at $6. I mean, I don't know. This is a thing that the Democrats are going to have to work out for the midterms. If indeed the issue is the economy's stupid, I don't know. Something's got to turn around for the Democrats if they want to hang in there, if they want to hold the House and the Senate, because it will be seen if inflation continues as a referendum on the Democrats. So the good old days. I just want to continue on a little bit on the good old days because, Norm Mineta died last week. And I talk about this. I talk about, God, politics was different when he passed the Civil Liberties Act in 1988. I mean, it was really different. And it was, let's see, I'm trying to pull it up here. The Civil Liberties Act, 1988. The co-sponsor with Norm was Alan Simpson, who was the Republican in the Senate. And Norm met Alan Simpson when they were Boy Scouts. Well, Norm was interned. And so this is an example of what happens when, it passed in 1988. Keep in mind, 1988, it was like Rush Limbaugh was just beginning to polarize and divide the electorate through first the radio audience. And then it just full blown created a firestorm, gridlock, changed the Congress. And if you put the start at 88, 89, change the Congress by 95. Flip the House. Made everything where we were at loggerheads instead of working together. But the Civil Liberties Act of 1988, that was a matter of working together. And if you don't recall what Norm Mineta did with the Civil Liberties Act, he got reparations passed. Reparations, that's right. $1.6 billion paid out to about 82,000 people. Japanese Americans wrongfully incarcerated. Don't say interned. It's the internment, but it's the incarceration of innocent people. So, in the 100th Congress, the Civil Liberties Act that Norm Mineta in Congress and Alan Simpson in the Senate, they passed the House 243 to 141. Passed the Senate 69 to 27. You don't see votes like that nowadays. Now it's a 49 to 51 vote to negate codification of abortion. Which is creating this need for the United States of the workaround. We got to work around all these things now. Find me a state where we can get an abortion. We're going to go there. That's the kind of America we live in now. Instead of the kind of America where we can work together and we can work it out. No. There's yes states and there's no states. That's America. And I'm just saying I'm nostalgic for the time when the Civil Liberties Act of 1988, which gave reparations to Japanese Americans incarcerated during World War II, that was passed in the administration of Ronald Reagan, and it was passed in the Senate 69-27. Man, you're not going to see those kind of votes. Not in 2022. That's our problem. That's our problem in America. We need that time when Norm Mineta. And that's why when he died last week, it was sad. Because that was a time when America, you guys say, that was a time when America worked. I mean, I don't know. America doesn't work now. America is just split up into yes and no's. We don't work like the great country we used to be. And I don't know, is that the Democrats' problem? It's all our problems, really, right? It's not just a Democratic problem. It's all our problems. But you just look back at all the things that have been undone. Like, you know about the Voting Rights Act. Slowly but surely it gets gutted, and maybe they'll go back and gut the whole thing. But it's all the legislation within the last 40, 50 years. Look, this is the Asian American micro talk show, the micro talk show of the AAPI, or we use this AAPI lens. Let's look at something like immigration. The Immigration Act of 1965, huge. We would not be here were it not for the Immigration Act of 1965. The Hart-Celler Act, right? And I'm just looking at the numbers, how it passed, introduced in the House by Emmanuel Celler, Democrat in New York. Passes the House 318 to 95 in 1965. 318-95. That's like, oh, you mean we want to let the Asian American or the Asians in? They weren't Americans yet. They're just Asians. We won't let that. We want to let immigrants from Africa and Asia in and no longer put these artificial racist quotas on them. We're not going to limit it just to Europe, or we want all these people. Yes, we wanted them in. And we passed it 318-95 in the House in 1965. And then get this, the Senate, they take it up a month later in September 65. They pass it 76-18. They get an amendment. It passes 320-70. Johnson signs it into law October 3rd, 1965. And August, September, October, 2 months. It's in. It's done. Boy, that's America that works. That's the good old days. We need some of that. We need some of that. We don't have that now. I don't know why. I wish I knew why. We could use that now. We don't have that now. It's sad. But this is the United States of the workaround. We work around everything. I mean, we just got to work around everything. So I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, look, immigration is federal, right? So you can't say, well, the states are going to have their own immigration laws. Texas is going to have their own immigration. No. But they can do things that make immigration more difficult. Just like when California tries to pass sanctuary laws. Well, people try and stop that. What if we were just friendly toward immigrants? What if we were just friendly toward a reasonable immigration policy? Not just nationally, but all the things that people might concoct to block immigration policy. That would be a change. That would be like going back to 1965. That's what we need. But man, we are not near that time. We are not near that time. Gonna switch it up, change it a little bit. Friend of mine, Ben Fong Torres, the DJ, writer, DJ. I love Ben Fong Torres. You know, we both grew up in San Francisco. He's a little older than me. So I look up to Ben. I don't mean that as a joke. I mean, Ben, his brother Barry, I mentioned Barry, he was an activist. They loved Filipinos. His father loved what Filipinos stood for, labor movement. So they added the Torres, and they were Fong Torreses. So the thing about Ben, he's so cool, right? DJ, K-San, the original underground rocker in San Francisco. But he made his name as the rock and roll journalist, as the rock and roll chronicler. And he put something on Facebook. His documentary's on Netflix. Check it out. Ben Fong Torres. That's not the name of it. The official name, just look it up. Google it. For Ben Fong Torres. Suzanne Joe Kai, or Kai Joe, excuse me. Former fellow reporter, colleague of mine in San Francisco. She was the one who put the movie together. They had a big opening about a year ago in New York. We were supposed to do something, and I just couldn't get it together time-wise. But now they hit the holy grail for documentaries. They're on Netflix. And check it out, because here's the thing about Ben Fong Torres. Just like any Asian American who did his thing, his or her thing, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, you look around and you were the only one in the room. I mean, you were the only Asian American. You're the only Filipino. You're the only Chinese. There just weren't that many of us. And so it's kind of important if, like, I'm going to a reunion because I feel a kind of obligation to let people know that there weren't very many real Asian Americans in the room back then. I mean, there are now. I mean, there are CEOs, but back then, no. So in some ways, everyone's standing on our shoulders. So I told Ben put a nice note. I put a memory about meeting Ben Fong Torres. I'm from San Francisco. We never met in the city at that time. When I was 19, he was a little older. I was a DJ in Houston, Texas. Midnight DJ, Houston, Texas. What a gig, right? I was playing records. I was going to be Howard Stern. Howard Stern didn't even know he was Howard Stern. But I did not. I mean, I played records. I talked. But on this one particular day, Bonnie Raitt was coming in to do an interview. She was playing in Houston. And I just dropped out of Harvard, just for a little bit, to be a DJ. And Bonnie Raitt, she's a Harvard graduate. So we had a nice little discussion going about, how'd you discover the blues, Miss Bonnie Raitt, daughter of John Raitt, the Broadway star. So it's kind of interesting. And Bonnie Raitt back then, well, she's got a new album out, by the way. Still has the voice, still has the look, she's got that red, right, with that one streak saying, I'm a badass. You know, Bonnie Raitt, great voice, great blues guitarist, great blues singer. And I'm interviewing her, but I noticed right off, there's a guy in the room. It's Ben Fong Torres. And I'm the San Francisco guy who said, Ben Fong Torres. This is like, I'm not the only Filipino in the room. I'm not the only Asian American in the room anymore. That's good. That's guy. Fellow Asian American. Ben Fong Torres. The BFD was BFT. Bonnie Raitt was okay too, but BFT. So, catch the documentary. A lot of people are raving about it. Ben put a mention in Facebook about how he was amazed I still had a memory. Well, if you lived through that time with your memory intact, then clearly you did not have as much fun as the other people. And I guess, maybe I was a little too good, because, you get involved in that kind of stuff. People say, well, you'll never be president. What are you going to say when they ask you that question? Have you ever done X, Y, or Z? You'll never be president. I know some people who that hung over their heads. Like, well, how am I going to explain my way out of this one? Anyway, Ben Fong Torres, documentary, Netflix. Check it out. DJ, rock and roll writer. He was of a time. And is there another Ben Fong Torres? Cameron Crowe. Cameron Crowe, he couldn't hold BFT's jock. Okay. Calm down, Emil. Calm down. All right. One last thing. Bill Gates. That's right, Bill Gates. Bill Gates has COVID. It has been reported. Did you see this? AP reports it. Bill Gates says he has COVID, mild symptoms. So this is a guy who is interested in maybe solving COVID. Maybe he's doing it for research. I don't know. But he's in Seattle. Tuesday, he said he's tested positive, experiencing mild symptoms. And that must mean he's only having nightmares about Jeffrey Epstein every other night. I'm fortunate to be vaccinated and boosted and have access to testing and great medical care, Gates wrote. Of course, I wished I was vaccinated against Jeffrey Epstein. No, he didn't say that. No, he didn't say that. So he is considered, according to the AP, the most influential private foundation in the world with an endowment of about $65 billion. I guess that might have gotten him a lot of chicks when he was in college. Don't like my endowment now? Just wait 50 years. Anyway, Gates has been, according to the story, a vocal proponent of pandemic mitigation measures, specifically access to vaccines and medication for poorer countries. The Gates Foundation in October said it will spend $120 million to boost access to generic versions of drug maker Merck's antiviral COVID-19 pill for lower income countries. You can bet. Look, he didn't have enough money to ward off getting the virus, but he's got wherewithal to get all the antivirals he wants. And this is what is meant by, right now, because you look at Ashish Jha, the White House czar, this is what it's about. It's about you can get COVID, but we can manage it better. That's kind of where people are at right now. Oh, you can get COVID now. Just you can manage it better. I don't know. I don't know if I want to be sick and manage it. Because there's long COVID too we don't know about. How about just getting rid of it and staying distant so you never get sick? I don't see why you have to get sick first and then manage it, because we don't know how your body's going to react. This makes me a little scared. And, the other thing is he has access to the antivirals. I remember when a friend of mine had COVID and we were trying to find her antivirals. He had to go to a website. He had to go to a specific drugstore at a specific time. And then only a specific case, and it was very difficult that we just skipped it. And then she got better, and because she was vaccinated and boosted. But who knows long term what that means? They haven't even solved long term COVID. So I don't know. I think it's encouraging that Gates has it and saying it. Hey, look, I got it. Hey, and I also got 131 billion you don't got. Hey. But like I said, I wish instead Bill Gates would make good on all the things he was saying during the pandemic when he was meeting with Sanjay Gupta on CNN, talking about how, we're going to, this is how you solve COVID. This is how we prevent, how we, take care of this pandemic. Much happier with that. At least, though, we know it's not true. He does not want to put chips in people's heads. That's Elon Musk. All right, so I think that's going to be it for today. I mean, we talked about how codification. We didn't codify abortion, but now it's going to be a message. This is we're hoping, or the Democrats are hoping that it's going to excite people to go vote. I don't know. Let's cross our fingers. Let's cross our fingers and hope. I was going to talk about affirmative action, but no need. I just think affirmative action is going to be another one of those issues that there are times it's going to be hot button. There are times it's going to be our issue. But this is the important thing for Asian Americans to realize and understand. We're being used in that issue. We're being used as, I don't know, human shields. We're being used as examples of, look, we're hurt. We're not hurt. Some are. But here's the thing. I'll get into this more when I talk about affirmative action tomorrow. But really, even if Harvard got rid of what the people suing it says is affirmative action, that will not guarantee admission for any of the plaintiffs. None of them. It's not like okay, you do this, then this will happen. No. And they don't realize that. They're thinking that, yeah, you do this, and then all of us Asians who got straight A's and perfect test scores, we'll get in. No, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. Here's what I wanted to finish up with. Yesterday, I failed to mention it's Asian Pacific American Mental Health Day. They just gave us a day to go amok. Had I known, I would have gone amok for you, because amok is in the DSM-5. It's an official malady. It means to be thrust into a murderous frenzy. I would have mentioned it, but I didn't know. I got this late from the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus. They were commemorating Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Mental Health Day. They're one of the few people who actually use the full name. AANHPI. Anipi. Him. Heritage Month. Anipi Him. Or Anipi MHD, Mental Health Day. So May 10th is the day that Congress honors it. It's our Mental Health Day, which falls during Asian Pacific American Heritage Month and Mental Health Awareness Month. So it's the confluence of all those things. And you say, here's the point. It's AANHPI Mental Health Day. And it's a significant day, right? Because we don't access mental health services. We don't access mental health care. And we should, because we need it. And yet there's a stigma attached to getting mental health care. I mean, I know when I was younger, I mean, maybe I'm Filipino. Maybe you'd see a priest if something were wrong. Oh, then you'd really be screwed up. That's what I say now. But you see an elder? Well, what the hell do they know? You got to see a mental health professional. Here's what I've discovered, though. That years ago, I would say, oh, all those meditators, all those, they weren't all Buddhists, but, you know, the TM guys, I'd say all that's like phony baloney. You know, I can go restful. I can go blank. I can do that. Totally disregarded the validity of meditation as real therapy. You know, in terms of the science, in terms of what it does for attitude and mood and the neuroplasticity of the brain and all that. But all that wasn't known 45 years ago. All that is within the last 15, 20 years. Mindfulness is a thing. But notice mental health is Asian. The therapies that work, the therapies that bring people to mindfulness are Asian. I mean, it's not, I mean, you can go to Vienna too if you want. They got good cake over there. I was thinking about a bakery in the Castro in San Francisco where they have these X-rated cakes, but what would Freud say about them? Pass me the Black Forest? I don't know. I'm just saying that the West looks at Vienna when people who were afflicted found their way to India and Japan and Tibet and Burma and Thailand, and they found solutions. The meditative psychological solution. It works. That's why, you know, it's sort of funny that you mention Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Mental Health Day during Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Mental Health Month, during Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Mental Health or Heritage Month. And we should be all meditating. Just take 7 minutes. You can do a quick hit. It's all cumulative. Do a minute at a time, 7 times a day. You'll find your center. You'll find yourself peaceful. Or you could do one 7 to 10 minute stretch. You'll find the longer you do it, the more you want to do it, because it's like a feedback loop. Feedback loop. It feels good. It feels good. You want to keep doing it. Just quieting your mind, breathing, using the Vipassana techniques, concentrating on your breath. Helpful. Breathe in 4 seconds. Breathe out 6. Breathe in 4 seconds. Breathe out 6. Just one technique. Sit or stand, eyes open, eyes closed, half closed. I like Thich Nhat Hanh's Breathe in. Space. Think of space. Space around you. I'm in a closet, but it feels like in big sky country. And exhale the word free. Space. Free. Space. Free. It helps. It can help. So don't give up. We missed it, but Asian American Pacific Islander Native Hawaiian Mental Health Day should be every day. Give yourself 7 minutes at least. Go slow. Concentrate on your breath. And concentrate on the things around you. Or listen to the tail end of the show, because I always end with something that will help. And see if that neuroplasticity doesn't work and your prefrontal cortex is connected in ways that you find helpful in solving your stress issues and solving just how you see things. I find that meditation has been very, very good for me. All right, so we're going to wind down. Regular listeners of the show know that at this point I do a little specific loving kindness meditation where I talk about what's afflicting you in terms of, are you feeling shame? Are you feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough? Are you feeling that self-doubt? And sometimes it is shame. There's like a shroud that you got to like break through. But you can. You just got to wade through it. And then it's clear space. Just know you're good enough. You're worthwhile. You can do it. You're enough. And then take this hand like this, and take this hand like this, and just give yourself a gentle squeeze. And as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Check us out. Facebook, emilguillermo.media. YouTube, Twitter @EmilAmok, or on amok.com. Thanks for being with me. Back again tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific, live, right here. Till then, mahal kita.